Hello everyone, it's Vu again, and I never thought I'd be making this video, but meme stonks. So as you probably know, last week GameStop was the major headline of everything. Before you knew it, your mom, your dad, your brother, your crazy uncle, your grandfather, everybody was in GameStop and everybody was downloading the Robinhood app and throwing the kitchen sink at it. This video, I'm not going to really be talking super much about what exactly happened since everybody has sort of done that and you can just read about it on the news, but I just thought I'd give my perspective on the aftermath of it all and kind of like what is going on right now and maybe a life lesson for all of us here. So today I was actually reading an article and one of the things that came up is that, the fellow that led the charge, one could say, on WallStreetBets, on the Reddit subreddit, Deep Effing Value, that guy. I think he made at one point an unrealized return of something north of like $40 million or something super crazy. It was actually revealed that he is not an everyday average retail investor, but he is actually a registered broker. Apparently now some people in Congress have called him into a hearing about exactly on everything that kind of went down. And I think at this point, there's still not enough details to make any like snap judgment calls since it's just so opaque and we don't want to like lead a crazy witch hunt or anything like that. But I think it's a good lesson here that oftentimes things aren't always what they seem. You know how when you were like a 10-year-old and your mom or your dad or your librarian, you had those lessons in school and it was like, don't trust everything you read on the internet, don't trust strangers on the internet. I think this is definitely really relevant. Now, I'm not endorsing the hedge fund people. I'm not endorsing the billionaires out there. As far as I'm concerned, they made a risky bet. They can get absolutely destroyed for all I care, and there shouldn't ever be any cent that taxpayers should ever have to endure to bail any of these people out. They 100% deserve it, right? But I think sometimes when you look at a situation like this, it's not always like truly this David versus Goliath sort of deal. I think even right now, there's been some Reddit drama in WallStreetBets where these inactive mods that haven't been around for some time have now suddenly tried to jump back into WallStreetBets and try to moderate things and to kind of collude in order for them to make a quick buck and a quick profit. Just because people on Reddit are posting pictures of their gains and proclaiming things like, oh, I have the most diamond of hands, and buying billboards and stuff like that, doesn't mean that they're necessarily holding. The important thing to remember is whenever you're putting any money into the stock market, there's really this fine line between what is, quote, investing and what is essentially gambling, right? And oftentimes it's really hard to kind of distinguish. In the traditional sense, investing is something where you give capital and the capital is used to generate value, right? So in typical investing terms, and this is just like highly theoretical, high level, but theoretically what it means is you're able to almost generate value out of nothing, right? It's a non-zero sum game. It's not like someone has to lose for another person to win. You can all win. You can generate more value through increased productivity and stuff like that through the usage of capital. That is what investing is. On the flip side, there's something called speculation trading, and that is something that I liken more to gambling, specifically because it is zero sum. And what that means is, again, someone has to lose in order for another person to make money. There's only a finite amount of resource, and through the process of trading, there is no value that's actually being generated. This is what GameStop was. So in the beginning, there was a lot of money to be made from billion-dollar hedge funds out there because they were, over-shorting the stock, something like 140%. So the play there was a short squeeze. Which essentially allows you to, bet against that and extract value from there. So they would lose money, you gain money back. And the problem with that was, after that gained a certain amount of momentum, there were additional people, retail investors, your mom and dads that really didn't know what they were doing, I suppose, joining in into this gamble and buying GameStop when it was essentially at $200, $250, $300, way up from its $50 or $100 price point. What ended up happening was this was driving up the price, and then, despite, Redditors posting like, oh yeah, I have diamond hands, I'm gonna like hold forever, obviously the price wouldn't have gone down if some people weren't selling their stock. And I know there was like this big fiasco over like Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, like halting buying, and that contributed into it for sure. But the truth of the matter is, in order for it to have gone down, people needed to sell their position. Now this gets back to the problem, right? So because it's a zero-sum game, somebody had to lose in order for other people to make money. And now it wasn't the billionaire hedge funds anymore. Now it was the people that came in at $250, $350. People were incentivized to encourage other people to join in the frenzy so they can exit their own positions. I think it's a bit of a pessimistic view, but I think that was what was definitely happening. A lot of the people on WallStreetBets, they like to pretend that they're, and I quote, autists, right? But how do autists know so much about, gammas and like how to read certain charts, like how to know and look for these certain plays? Why does it happen to be that this guy that made a boatload of money wasn't actually a retail investor and a registered broker, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it turned out that many of the top players in WallStreetBets are actually like young millennial finance bros themselves working on Wall Street. I wouldn't be surprised. In this situation like this, the people that suffer the most are the true retail investors that gotta get like caught up in everything. At the end of the day, I actually don't mind gambling in the stock market, right? So if you wanted to yeet your money out the window or go YOLO on a few positions and bet the farm on a meme stock, like totally you can do that. But as long as you have an understanding of what you're exactly doing, right? So the problem with Robinhood is it makes it so easy to take out positions via options, right? To buy options. Where people don't actually know what they're doing, right? And I think if you're unable to admit to yourself that what you're doing is actually gambling, then it's hard to be able to mitigate the risk and actually go into it with a logical and reasonable mindset to know what you're exactly getting out of it, right? So in summary, like, be safe out there. Don't trust everything you read on the internet just because you're in a subreddit and you're amongst people. Take it with a grain of salt. Have a healthy bit of skepticism. Don't be so easy to think that people are on your side. I think if you're more pessimistic about it, if you're more distrusting about it and more protective of your funds and your money, that is going to get you probably longer in the long term. And then secondly, if you're going to gamble, that's totally fine. But know what you're doing, admit that you're gambling, and then go for it. Gambling is not investing. And it's really important to distinguish between the two, or you can lose out on a lot of money. So that is my hot take. And as always, thanks for watching. Not sure if this was helpful, but whatever. Just wanted to talk and get things off my chest. And if you liked it, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more content.